You have the coefficient of determination r squared. Well, if correlation is r squared is literally just r squared. You could just square your correlation. This one is very interesting to us because it tells us the amount of variation in your y values that's explained by your least squares regression line. So r squared is a positive number between 0 and 1. The higher your r squared value, the better our line fits the data. Show you what I mean by this. So I have two different data sets here. For this first data set, my line of best fit would look something like this. But if you were to look at it, so here's my line of best fit. Are my points all exactly on the line? Well, no, we never expect our points to all be exactly on our line because there's just so much individual variation. So for instance, if I was going to pick this x value, like right here, notice for this one specific x value, there's a y value here, a y value here, here, and here. So in about that x range, it looks like there's 1, 2, 3 different possible y values I could pick. So those y values are changing quite a bit, even for one specific x value. There's a lot of variation in the y values. So this one has a lot of variation in y values. And it would probably have a pretty low r squared because in this one, there's so much variation in the y values, it would have a pretty low r squared. But this data set over here, notice the points are all pretty close to the line. And if I was to pick like an x value, well, it looks like there's only one y value there. There's not too much in my data set anyways. But there's not much variation in y values. Because really, if I was to try and draw a band, it would look more like that. Everything is going to be pretty close to the line. There's not very much variation in y values, so it would have a high r squared value. Okay. So again, r squared is going to tell you how much your y values depend on x values and how much is natural variation. Okay. So if you have high r squared values, it means your points are very close to your line, and it says I can kind of predict my y based on where it is on the line. Whereas over here with a low r squared value, it's really hard to predict your y value because it doesn't seem to be very close to the line. So if I have the x up here, well, is my point going to be close to the line, or is it going to be way down here or way up here? I can't really tell because my r squared is so low. My points are so far away from the line.